1988 happened when I was still in primary. And that was a big turning point in my life and in our lives, because my dad lost his job. I was in standard 6, I still remember, and my mom was arranging clothes, my dad's clothes, you know, moving them, and I was with her, and she put her hand in one of the jackets, and she pulled out an envelope, and she read the envelope, and she just started crying. And she was holding me and sobbing really, you know, badly. And I was like, Mom, what is it? And she was like, hey, your dad is no longer has a job. And for me, it felt like our entire world had just come down. You know, there was such an implication on what was going to happen thereafter. On day one, before it really happened. And from that point onwards, all hell broke loose. Ooh. All hell broke loose. I'm telling you, we didn't know what we were going to eat for dinner. We did not know. It was...
You lived in a one-income home?
My mom was a civil servant, so her income was barely enough to keep us going. It was too little. I mean, civil servants were poorly paid then, you know, unlike today. So we were living in a rented house. Landlords were knocking on our doors, and they were like, "We're gonna throw you guys out." We were bailed out enough times by friends and family. Enough times. We had loans. We had auctioneers knocking on our doors. And I remember, you know, my mom and I peeping outside the window, like, those are auctioneers. They've come to take our possession, our little possession. And the only thing we could do was to pray. And I'm telling you, we would kneel down and pray. You know, people pray, but there's prayer.
Petition God.
There's petition. Like, as in, God, you need to calm down now. You get it? And honestly, we prayed those auctioneers away.
Okay. When you say that, what does that mean?
This was my taste of poverty. The bitter taste of poverty. And we were coming from a place where we used to do big shoppings, you know, when dad comes, opens the boot as if, hey, we are the envy of the society. We were carrying bags and, you know.
Chumi paper bags.
Yeah, there were no more chumi paper bags. We would have tea, strungi, you know, black tea. I see it today, it's profiled up, but then, you know, today it's kind of.
I asked Cuban, can I get you some tea? You're like, hey, black coffee.
It's interesting. I look at my kids, they find it kind of posh to have black tea. Black tea was for poor people then.
Yes.
So
there was no money for milk.
There was no money for milk.
That's actually to show the level of poverty that you're right. There was no money for milk.
There was no money for milk. You just boil the water with some tea leaves and boil some rice and eat and go to bed.
Whoa.
You know?
What did that do for you?
So that day when my mom told me that my dad no longer had income, I remember making a very silent vow as she was crying on my shoulders. I said, I'm gonna work really hard, and I'm gonna be very rich. I remember that vow inside me. I'm gonna work really hard, and I'm gonna be very rich. And it was not for myself. It was for my family. As like we can't this can't be our story.
At that time, you're helpless. There's nothing you could do to.
There's nothing I could do. I remember I am still in mid-primary, but I still had the presence of mind to make such a vow. And this is something I'm saying to those people who may be listening, that those vows we say silently, but they are more powerful than the ones that we vocalize. You know, and those vows, we must be careful the kind of vows we make, because they need to be positive vows, because they kind of tie you to a certain direction.
Your internal system completely changes and refocuses.
Yes. And from that point onwards, I was constantly figuring out, how is it that one day you can be wealthy, or you can be comfortable, a happy family, with all the pleasures of life, and then you plunge into poverty suddenly. And I was constantly trying to answer that question. I couldn't answer it. And I thought later on, you will see my choice of career, they were very much informed by that. By that background.
So that's so powerful. Pius, you've said something so powerful, and it's also in line with what's happened in your life. Because a situation can happen in your life, and in that situation, you can make a decision that completely changes the rest of your life. For you, thankfully, that negative situation that happened, which was your dad losing his job, internally made you make a vow with yourself and a decision in life that has led you to be where you are right now, including the choice of the career that you chose and a whole bunch of other things.
All things work together for good for those who love him. There is no experience, good or bad, and especially the bad ones, that goes to waste. That is one lesson that I look back and I ask myself, if my dad never lost his job, what would have been the alternative? And I kind of speculate on it a few times. One, I don't think I would have turned out to be a good guy.
You don't think you'd have turned out to be a good guy?
I think I was already on a path to being spoiled, a spoiled child.
I get it.
You get, eh? I got my energy and inspiration to work hard from that point.
You know, Pius, you are so right. I can't even explain that, but you're extremely right about what you just said. Sometimes I didn't have hardship in a certain area of my life for a long time. I was getting hardship in my later years. And I'm grateful now for that hardship, because it made me pull out the geniusness that God had put in me. For you, because it happened at this, you've nailed it when you say all things work out for good. You took that bad situation that had happened in your life at that early age. You said you were in late primary or mid-primary.
I was in standard 6.
Yes.
I was literally 12 years.
And you turned that tough situation into...
It anchored me for the future.
How did that situation break you? Actually, that's another question.
So the other bit, what if it didn't happen? Because I just looked at, I reflected and looked at my dad's lifestyle before. I probably wouldn't have a dad today.
Wow.
That would have been one possibility. Because that kind of lifestyle, it's not a sustainable lifestyle. You understand? I wouldn't have gone to university because my dad became my teacher, my mentor, my friend. I wouldn't have enjoyed my dad, because now he came from
unavailable,
just being a dad to my dad and my friend. Me and my dad are very close, very, very close. We are friends, we talk, we talk, we do things. We're going to look for land, we go together,
That's
we
amazing.
became tight, we became so good. And my dad, let me tell you how it started.
Presence.
My dad's presence.
Presence.
So my dad would spend a lot of time mentoring me. And one of our common touch points was mathematics. And because my dad was like a genius in mathematics, he would give me difficult problems to solve. And the one I'm unable to solve, he would try and solve it himself. And I remember many times when we both didn't have an immediate answer. And the following day, I come back from school, and the first thing is like, guess what?
I got the answer.
I got the answer. That was an aha moment for both of us. So now it changed my perspective to, I was looking for the most difficult, most difficult mathematical challenges so that we could tackle it together. And it just started turning my mind to be a problem-solving mind, you know. So for me, it was such a blessing that my dad lost his job. It was the best thing that happened to me and to us. If it didn't, things would have gone really bad.
I can't believe you're saying that, but it's beautiful, because there are people who may be hearing this and a tough thing has happened in their life. You are saying that's the best thing that had happened.
That's the best thing. It was
for the relationship between you and your dad.
Everything for our family. Everything.
Ooh. There's a question that I asked you, but I think you've sort of explained it in answering this relationship with your dad. Because I was asking you, what is it? How did you crumble and fickle out and just lose complete hope because of the bad situation that was thrown in your life? But you've just said now you started spending more time with your dad.
I think when challenges come, there are different personalities that react very differently to challenges. That to me, that season was a very important season for me to find my purpose in life. And God does not give you a challenge that you cannot stand. And for me, it was so important to make that internal vow. It's like God forced me to make a vow internally. And now my dependence, I always thought I'll get my inheritance from my dad. And all of a sudden, there was no inheritance.
There's nothing. There's nothing.
In fact, that was the thing. Like, there will be no inheritance here. So you've got to look up.
Oh, man.
You've got to look up. So,
did that change your relationship with God?
Hey.
Actually, did you even have a relationship? I've heard you saying you're praying, your mom was praying. I'm hearing them and you, but you sound like you're doing it because she's doing it. When did it happen for you?
I can say I was never a bad boy, you know.
Oh.
I was never a bad boy, but I was, now when I look, I was religious.
Uh-huh.
I was doing this for psychological fulfillment, for peace in the family, you know. I was doing this for my mom and my dad. But this challenge really threw me to depend on God for myself. And I'll tell you a small story of in high school, because I can tell you don't want us to go to high school yet.
Yes, yeah.
I'll tell you a story.
Okay, noted.
Mind me tell you
Don't
about
worry,
a small story.
I'm good at those remembering.
The first miracle I experienced with God.
High school?
Yeah.
Okay. So this thing happens. Your dad now is literally has time because work is not taking his time.
Yes.
And this, because let me tell you, I was hearing you say your father is amazing, but throughout this story thus far, you've not been talking about him. But now I get it. This losing his job, the positive side of that happens there is
the best gift.
You get a relationship with him.
Yes.
I don't think there's a better love language than presence. And by presence, I mean time.
Yeah.
Intentional time.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a big one. I didn't see that one coming. When you shock. So what happens after you get your 500 from KCP?
So shock of all shocks. I get admitted in Jamhuri High School.
Next door.
Next door.